What's up, Facebook? What's up, world? So, started my video, lost my signal, so let's try this again. Hopefully, you guys are feeling good. How are the Friday flow feels? Hopefully, you are elevating past any problems that you may have, consciously acting from your heart space with your words, actions, and energy. So I wanted to talk about resistance today because it so keeps coming up for me. It's been a theme in my life lately. So I think that the more and bigger things that we want to obtain or accomplish, and when we step onto a path that we've never done before, I think that it becomes really hard to keep hitting resistance and to keep elevating past it. So I found that when I started writing before, hey Michelle, how are you? Hey Jennifer. So basically, when I started writing 2 years ago, I thought, oh my God, I'm not going to have enough to say. And what if I run out of things to say? And when I started making these videos about 2 weeks ago, I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? I'm going to run out of things to say. But I've basically been trusting that I'll have enough to say. And I'm so glad you guys keep showing up for me because I keep showing up for you. And I'm so grateful for everybody who joins and so many private messages that I get, people telling me that I'm helping them. So I am so here in service to other souls. So the resistance thing has been coming up for me so much. It's a constant theme in my life. And I know that it's a constant theme in most people's lives. So I really wanted to talk about 5 tips I have for resistance, because the other night, I sat down to spend my time between writing my book and launching 2 new businesses. And I kept feeling, oh my God, I want to do this, but I don't know if I want to do this. Oh my God, I'm just sort of dilly-dallying. And I felt this through many creative processes and many other things in my life where you sort of, get a momentum and then you start doing something and then you stop and then you start. And yes, there is sort of an inner rhythm to our flow, and there's an inner rhythm of the universe and how things work. That's just the way it is. But then there's also resistance and fear, which adds to that, which can be confusing to understand if you're in flow, not in flow, how do you get into flow, or if it's mostly resistance and fear. So for me, the resistance that keeps coming up, which I think is funny because the resistance to make these videos, but I make them anyway, resistance to writing my book and working on my businesses and doing new things and basically coming out of my comfort zone, which I think most of us, when we come out of our comfort zone, it's really challenging. So true, Jennifer, the universe does have our back for sure. So what I wanted to talk about was the other night when I was writing, and you may have seen this on my page, is resistance even real? And it's not real. It's totally a figment of our imagination. So resistance is basically us projecting fear onto our path. So imagine you're walking, down this road, or you're driving really fast and you've got the path, it's clear and you can see for miles and miles. And then all of a sudden there's fog. It's a self-created fog that we make resistance. So resistance is basically all of our fears and getting too much in our head so that we're not able to move forward to do what we need to do. So basically, I would say that, with resistance, one of the things that helps me for any time I feel resistance is to basically make a list. So what am I scared of? Why do I feel like I can't do this? What's going on? Why am I feeling this? And just make the list of everything that you feel, and don't judge it. Don't try to censor it. Just sort of like let it all come out. Make that list and then read it, call it in and be with it. And then basically make a list of positive beliefs that are going to contradict your old list of fears and support your new list. So maybe one thing on the list is like, I really feel that I'm going to fail and no one's going to like me. So your new belief would be, I'm not going to fail. I trust myself and I trust my experience. So putting something positive and replacing it. So like I always say, bringing your power to the front. So basically, getting rid of the fear and then replacing it with something positive. We're in control, right? We're the creative alchemists. So we can transmute anything and we can do whatever we want once we believe. So that's something that's really powerful. So make the list of everything that you feel and then replace it with positive beliefs, but then burn the old list, because that's psychologically really powerful and says to your psyche that I'm done with this and I'm now replacing this with new positive things that support me on my journey forward. If you have beliefs that are not supporting you and you don't feel lifted by them, you need to get rid of them. And our belief system, which is our models of reality, which create everything that we feel, do, think, whether or not we think we're going to succeed, whether or not we think we're going to fail. It's a living, breathing thing that constantly we need to be upgrading and getting rid of. So that's the first thing that I do, and that's really powerful, and you'll feel a shift immediately after that. The second thing that I want to talk about is I think resistance stems from a lack of information. So if you're launching a business or doing something you've never done, you're scared because obviously you've never done this before. So you might not have all of the information to be successful, or you know that it's going to be harder because you're not quite sure how a certain process may work or how to move through it, quickly and efficiently. So I think maybe seeking somebody else out who has done something that you want to do and having that conversation and just getting the information. Having information is powerful, and I think it helps us trust more that we'll be able to do it. Because one of the things I like to think about at 38 years old, I've basically come through everything I've ever needed to do, and so have you, however old you are. Everything that you've needed to do, you've basically figured out. You've either asked somebody or you figured it out, right? So if we know that, why don't we trust kind of that we're going to be okay? So secondly, getting the information is very important, and I think that we can take that space of fear and not knowing and fill it with information and trust, being in control. So the third thing that I like to do is just have a 5-minute meditation sometimes to ask Spirit to help me. I need help. And every time I've asked for help, it either comes in the form of some sort of synchronicity via numbers or something that I'll maybe get a book or I'll read an article or somebody will show up and help me and I'll find the way, but there's always help when we ask for it and we allow it. So asking for help in meditation is important, and then holding that space for the answer to drift in or whatever you need to float in. And then basically maybe using a mantra like I'm powerful, or I can go anywhere and I can do anything, or I'm powerful and I'm peaceful, or I trust me and I trust the universe. Whatever resonates with you, I'm constantly changing my mantras, but I use them all the time. Like LA traffic, when it gets really crazy, it's like, I am peaceful. Everything is good. I am peaceful. So, you can sort of shift your brain and start doing the deep breaths, but we can always transmute that energy because we're in control. So whatever you feel out of control or you're being, pushed around or crashed around, take a power pause and decide what you want to call into that space. You don't have to accept or deal with certain things. You can call in whatever you want because you are powerful. You have to remember that. And fourthly, I just like to jam out. So after I do those couple things that I've mentioned, I like to go and turn my tunes way up in my headphones and dance around like a little freak in my apartment and shake my booty and just act crazy, uninhibited, no judgment, no thought. Just shake it, feel the music, feel like I'm being showered in light from Spirit, from above and below, and let it fill me up with love and trust. So just shake around, dance, do some deep breaths, and just don't think about stuff, just get into it. And then the last thing that I think is really, really helpful is that we take things way too seriously. Everything is sort of do or die. I mean, I know that maybe you don't, but I definitely do. I'm a really passionate person, and I take myself and everything seriously, and I sometimes make a bigger deal out of things than they really are, and it's really like don't sweat the small stuff, right? Like that book. So I think just, taking a deep breath and being like, okay, it's not that serious. If I fail, it's fine, or if it doesn't work out, it's fine. Practicing that detachment, and then you're able to dive in and not be like so worried about what's going to happen. So those are kind of some of the tips that have been helping me with my resistance that I've been feeling, because I'm sort of out on a limb doing a lot of things that I've never done before, that I'm passionate about, that I want to do. And I think that, those are some really good tools, but I think we just have to keep showing up. That's all we can do is show up and trust and hope that it works out. So I hope you guys have an amazing weekend, and I want to leave you with In Love We Know, In Love We Flow. I'll see you guys next week.